Hello and welcome to Planet Zoo, where I try to recreate the Antwerp Zoo as accurately as my knowledge and ability in this game allows me. Today I will build the Skywalk and the red panda habitat next to it. As you can see on the picture on screen right now, today's episode will put us face to face with some of Planet Zoo's most challenging design questions. First of all, there's a lot of irregular curves using materials that do not directly translate into the game. Second of all, we have all these water features on the roof of this building. And lastly, we are faced with an elevated, curved path going all around the building. Each of these challenges will test my knowledge of this game and my creativity to come up with solutions. And as I will show, each of these challenges allowed me to use a trick to make my life easier and to make this build succeed. I hope you enjoyed this video, and without further ado, let's get into the speed build. So the first challenge I was trying to tackle was the curved shape of the building, and as you can see I am using these glass barriers here to kind of replicate that same curvature that the building has. And what this allows me to do is just go along the barrier, go along the fence, and just replicate that same sort of shape. And it's really just a matter of trying to follow the barrier as good as you can, and the end result is a curved shape that you wouldn't otherwise be able to do by just winging it, and that's why these barriers can be really helpful in just outlining your shape of your building. And as you can see here, I even did it for the roof there. I initially used this metal material here because I thought that was kind of the most similar thing we had in game to what is actually, or what the building actually is made of. But later on I will just replace that metal, because as you can see already it's kind of really reflecting the light of the sun. And later on when I started doing the actual roof, the textures didn't connect and stuff, and I just decided to switch that up. So right here we have this glass wall, and that actually leads into, I think it's a gift shop. Now I didn't do the interior on this gift shop yet, and that will probably be something I do off camera here, because really the main focus of this episode is the Skywalk building itself, the outside of it, and then the red panda habitat located in the middle of the building. The Skywalk is one of the more recent additions to the Antwerp Zoo, being built between 2015 and 2016. The construction of the building coincided with the massive redo of the entrance, which we talked about in one of our earlier videos. Now, unlike the older buildings in the zoo, a lot of construction projects nowadays are outsourced to architect bureaus. In this case, the zoo hired the help of 8 office architects, a local business in Antwerp. Now I will leave you with a bit of music to enjoy the speed build until we get to our next big challenge, which is the water on the roof. So at this point I decided to switch the metal roof and go for plaster instead to avoid that reflection from the sun and just have one big connected texture. And I started working on this pond here. Basically it has some plants in it, and I used these subaquatic plants, underwater, is it hydrilla plants I think, to kind of simulate a bit of the water, but of course not all of it was simulated in that way, because the game doesn't really allow you to put water on rooftops, unfortunately, and so I had to look for another solution. Now, while I am doing these little bits with the plants here, I was thinking, what could I use to replace that same effect that the water has? And well, basically I arrived at the conclusion that maybe using glass was a good idea, because glass, just like water, reflects light, is a bit transparent, just like water, so glass might be a solution. Now, the big downside about glass in this game is, if you think about these glass elements in the game, like the glass panels I think they are called, if you overlap them, they, for some weird reason, turn darker, I guess because less light is reflected, or less light goes through it. So I initially used, as you can see here, these glass pane rectangles, tried to not make them overlap, but then you had these lines, as you can see, all over the place, and that just didn't really look right. So yeah, the lines didn't really make it look like water, so I thought about some ways to make it look like water. And another thing that popped up in my head as an idea was using these special effects here to maybe try and simulate the some water that is moving. But yeah, that really didn't work out, and then I actually tried to put some actual water here by using barriers. But yeah, because the building underneath it has some interior elements, that wouldn't work either. So I then tried switching some of the colors around to maybe see if I could get something that really looked like water. Then I found these large glass panels, and they had exactly what I needed. Because they were so huge, I could just use one or two of them without having these overlapping pieces where it would turn darker, or where you would have these lines. So there would only be like a couple of lines in there, and that allowed me to basically use these large panels, and I think that worked out really, really well. Like, even if they overlap, they don't make it any darker or anything, or like not that much, which is why I settled on these glass panels. Now I put in some plants as well, just to really make it look like water, like these plants look like they would be on top of water, so your brain makes that association that it is actually water and not some weird glass or something. And I also used the caribou moss to kind of simulate like dirty water or something, like dirty plants inside of the water, and I think that worked out really well. So then it was time to move on to the next part of the building. I basically did the outline for the other pond. Then I decided to first do like the outer edge here and the deep path that runs along it. Now this is our third challenge actually, because this is the path that curves and goes up, so it's a curved elevated path. Now you see me here using this Q path and not the regular path or the staff path or anything. It is because the Q path can actually allows you to make paths that are a little bit tighter, a little bit less wide than your usual path. So I basically use this trick of having to get the right elevation. I basically put in a dot somewhere in the middle that I thought would have a good transition. I really struggled with it, and eventually I think it worked out by just switching the length between several different lengths, using different middle parts and stuff like that. But yeah, in the end I think Maybe I should have cut this from the video, but it really shows the process of getting the path that you want and getting the elevation that you want. I settled on this, I think. Yeah. Then you just go and delete these queue entrance, and you can then replace it with a regular path. And then you have a regular path that is not of width 3, but actually, or with 4, but actually with 3, or even with 2. Then I use this plaster to cover the path up and to give it the texture that it more or less has in real life. It's actually the same color as the sand path that we've been using all over the zoo. And then we have these wooden panels here, and that's basically where the barrier for the red panda habitat. Now I initially used these stone elements, but I quickly replaced them with wooden beams, which are climbable, and I didn't know that at the time, but that would cause me some troubles or some issues, and I will show or talk about them probably at the end of this video. But yeah, then we are over on the other side here. I use these concrete walls as a temporary solution to simulate where the central station is. I might do that, or I will do that more or less at the end of my giant project. I think that will be the cornerstone of this project, just to have the wall of the central station there. But yeah, right now I'm basically using the same trick, using the queue path to have a slightly more narrow path, deleting the entrance to the queue and replacing it with normal paths. Now the issue here is that you have these elevated paths, and they actually go above your path. paths. So what I initially thought of doing, like having all these paths going around the skywalk and above it and stuff like that, I couldn't do that because there's like this stupid thing with heights that you can't run a path underneath an elevated path if you do not have enough space. So I actually had to delete some pathing there, some elevated path, to allow for staff entrance into the exhibit or into the habitat. Don't think I showed that on camera, but I think I will show it at the end of the video what the actual path now is. So you have these habitat over here, and then you have basically the metal skywalk or the skywalk building, and there's a lot of paths there, but the visitors can't actually go to all the paths, which is unfortunate. Then I did some terrain just to make sure the red pandas can't escape through there, because there's a glass barrier there, and I think that actually messed up my path there and made it a bit wider, but doesn't really matter all that much. Yeah, I think I will leave you with this speed build here and some music, and I will see you back when I am doing the actual habitat itself with all the climbing stuff and all the... Yeah, you will see. I see you there. As you can probably see in the background here, I've changed the glass railing there. I actually did a lot of work off camera, and I will show you that when we go actually inside the live game. But right here I'm doing this climbing, basically climbing thing for the red pandas. And I had a lot of fun doing that, actually working off a reference picture of the real thing, trying to get it as accurately as possible, but the perspective of the photo made that quite hard. And then they have these like small little ladders to go up there. They have this tree, and I was just building all of this without really thinking about the fact that my barriers actually have climbable stuff on them. So I actually had to do some adjustments, and I had to do them off camera to some of these pieces to avoid the red pandas just jumping off and going alongside the barrier and escaping. But yeah, right here they have this like little like tent, I would say, or it's not really a tent. It's like this, yeah, triangle shaped thing. Tried to do that, but didn't really work out. So or these pieces didn't really work out. I tried to use this trick where you have a pole in the middle, and then you can just copy that and try and center it. But yeah, it didn't really look good. So I eventually settled on what's this, bamboo beams, because I think they looked a bit more accurate to what it actually is. And I basically made this triangular thing, or this circular, I don't know how you would say it in English, like this little shelter for the red pandas that I put on top of there. And they actually can go inside of it, I think, or they can actually climb on it. I haven't actually seen them doing that yet, but yeah. And now we are doing the final things here before we go into the actual game. Putting in some rocks, some plants, just making everything look pretty. And putting in some dirt, and let's now go into the actual game and have a more detailed look at what I did. We are now inside of the game, and you can see the red pandas enjoying their climbing stuff here, and the visitors can actually go up here on the skywalk and have a look at the animals. Just don't look at their feet glitching through the plaster here. But yeah, I think they can actually go like up to here or something, because that's where the path stops, like yeah, exactly here. Because we have the zookeeper entrance over here, and the path was just too low to go over it. Yeah, we have the skywalk basically, and I promised to show you or give you a more detailed look. So let's start with the water elements here, or the roof pond, I should say roof, the roof water elements over here. Like the reflection really makes it look like water, even though it is glass. Combined with these water plants, really sells you that look that it is water and not just glass. You have the second pond over here that I made off camera, along with this path over here. I basically did all of this off camera, which I'm sorry for, but the video would have taken just too long to voice over, to edit, and to upload and stuff like that. So you have this path that actually goes like, let's just follow the path. So you go up here, you can have a look at the red pandas in their habitat over here. You can go around here, all around here. Well, the visitors can't, but like imagine we can. So they can basically have a look inside here. Go up here, and then there should be a small little area over here. But I didn't do that because that's for next episode. And they can go around here and then go alongside this path to basically be on the roof where the ponds are. And then they can look at the zoo entrance over here. Have these nice a nice look on the flamingos over there. And these ponds. These ponds actually attract a lot of birds. Like if you go to Google Street View, and there's some spots on here, I think, and I think there's some like water birds in these rooftop ponds. Yeah, you can actually have a look at this side of the panda habitat, and then this just goes further and connects into a building. But yeah, that's what we did. And okay, probably wounded. That tends to happen with new animals inside of the zoo. They tend to get wounded. So let's have a look at what their traversable area is. So as you can see, they can't escape, not anymore. That was quick. Okay, that was weird. But they used to be able to jump from like this onto, let's disable that again. Quick pocket, okay. They used to be able to jump from this pole here onto these wooden beams, which are climbable. And I thought I had to redo the entire climbing area. But it turned out I just had to move this one a bit back. Yeah, they can actually go and climb on there. They really look nice. Oh my goodness. Really? Did you really have to do that? Okay. Anyways. Visitors having a look at them. Don't fall into it, please. Oh my goodness. This this game. Okay. But yeah, so that's the Skywalk and the red panda habitat. I think it really adds to the entrance of the zoo. Now, of course, as I said in the speed build, I didn't do the interior here just yet. That's something to do off camera. But basically, that means that a large portion of the zoo is completed. Now, as I promised, I'm gonna put this on the workshop so that you can have a look yourself, and I will put in the link down below. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you liked this, please give a like, and if you'd like to see more, please consider subscribing. See you next time. Bye!